Hello and good morning. It is 7:12 a.m. on the day I'm supposed to be putting on a haunted house. It's alien themed and I bought something on eBay that I thought would be great inside the haunted house. I wanted some life-size alien eggs. I found some online and I thought, wow, what a great deal. So I bought it. This is the $30 alien egg that I purchased. Yeah, it's cool, but it's really not gonna work in a haunted house to scare anyone. So I thought I need to make a life-size alien egg. And I wanted to make a bunch of them. And I went on YouTube and I found people that were making them out of like Easter eggs. I found some that were making them life-size like Smuggler's Room, but that was way too complex of a build for the amount of time that I have. Remember, it's now 7:13, and I have to have eggs done by about 4 o'clock. I'd like 5 or 6 of them. So I need to make a pattern. I need to find a way to cheaply and quickly make eggs, and I'm gonna take you along on the journey with me in case you happen to want to make some sort of life-size alien eggs for your Halloween haunt or just decorations. And I'm gonna give you the patterns, I'm gonna take you along. Production value is going to be minimal on this, but let's make some life-size, bigger than this, alien eggs on today's Try to Finish Something. My voice is gonna be terrible. Come along. All right, here we go. And I pre-apologize for my puberty voice since my voice is thrashed. Each egg is going to be 1 pack of the Harbor Freight foam puzzle piece mats, and they come in at about $9.99 a package. And from Ace Hardware, a 12-ounce can of Great Stuff Gaps and Cracks at $5.59. Let's just round this up and we'll call it $16. Now, each egg is going to need a package and a can, and you're going to need some sort of bucket for your heat forming and some assorted colors of spray paint depending on the story that you're trying to tell with your eggs. I'm going to use a flat black. I also used orange. I use that as a zenithal highlight, and the blue is for the eggs that are getting ready to hatch, and of course red for the bloody lips and the innards. And I'm going to use a lot of super glue, and on the hatching eggs, cheap stretch cobwebs, since they will make good membrane material. And if you're trying to be more screen accurate, your colors are obviously going to vary. You're going to need probably green instead of blue, at least that for sure. But I had a lot of these colors of paint on hand and I am running out of time. I also had glue on hand, but I'm going to round that $16 up to $20 because you're going to have to buy glue and spray paint as well. You'll also need my pattern, but in the Try to Finish Something Facebook group in the files section, it is yours, as always, for free. All right, here we go. Let's hope my voice makes it through this entire thing. All 4 mats are going to get the pattern traced onto it. This doesn't have to be pretty. This is a speed build, and I have things coming up that are going to hide the crimes that we create when things don't line up properly. You will also be saving a lot of the offcuts of foam, and you're going to use those later. I am going to just cut these out with a snap blade, and I will be sharpening the blade as I go, still watching the time trying to get these done. These have to be done today. If you are making a lot of these, I would set it up like an assembly line. I'm tracing out all of them, then cutting out all of them, and then painting all of them. But I'm going to show you the steps to create one, and then I'll knock the rest of these out. Okay, they are all traced and it's cutting time. Try and sharpen your blade every 2 or 3 mats. And if you've never done this before, cut the mats at a little bit of an angle inward. Don't cut the little V's out. Those are just your registration marks to make sure that they are lining up properly when you put them together. And again, lots of forgiveness coming up if these don't come out perfect with your cuts. Once all 4 of those are cut out, you're going to use a heat gun. No, not a blow dryer. Oh yeah, I already had a heat gun too. But you're going to warm up both sides of the mat, then roll it with the smooth side facing out, and then drop it into your bucket to cool so that it's still rolled up after it cools off and you take it out. Now, do the same for all 4 of your egg quarters and just keep sliding each new quarter into the same bucket in the center of the other one, just like this. Now, the quote-unquote better way to do this would be using contact cement, but looking at the clock, I need to do this quick. So this is not better. This is where I will be using super glue. Remember, this is a speed build and super glue is fast. I am going to use rubber gloves, but here's the secret. I'm going to actually use a lot of rubber gloves when I'm gluing this together. Rubber gloves and super glue hate each other. Sometimes it actually burns and the pieces of the rubber gloves wind up sticking to your fingers, but at least it keeps the super glue off of my fingers. It actually took me 2 days to get all of the spray foam and super glue off of my fingers when I built my first test egg. Now, take each quarter out and glue the inside seam first, keeping the registration marks close to accurate. Glue all the way down to the bottom. The bottom will remain open so that the egg can sit on the ground without toppling over. By the way, I didn't do that on my first test egg, and I learned my lesson. And yes, I am using accelerant on the super glue here and there because I keep looking at the clock and I'm starting to panic. Filming is also slowing this down, but I've been doing a terrible job putting out videos, and I couldn't find anything on YouTube at all to help me with this project and thought maybe there was a need and maybe I could help you make some alien eggs. Or maybe there aren't any videos because no one really cares about this. All right, now, once all 4 quarters are glued together, put 2 together to make half an egg. And then the other 2 to make the second half. Now glue the 2 halves together, and as you're putting them together, be thinking if your egg is going to be open or closed. If closed, you have to glue all the way up the seam to make a full egg. If it's open, you're going to use a little less glue. And I'm doing an assortment. You'll see some open and some closed. Now, take some of your leftover mat scraps and cut out the top triangle from my pattern to make little wedges and make some of them have an extended tail on them. You're going to cut these very rough, not straight at all, and we'll be matching the tip to the tips of our egg quarters, and some of the tails will go all the way down the seams to give the eggs a better organic shape like in the movies. And I apologize, this is a terrible camera angle here, but it will make sense in a moment. God, this camera angle is terrible. I'm sorry, I'm so dumb. What I am doing here is I'm heating up the glued quarter of the egg and rolling it down and opening it up a little bit and letting it cool in my hand. I am also heat rolling that little, stingray shape that we just roughly cut out and then gluing those together. And that added wedge shape will help hold the egg open. Here are the 4 eggs in different states to help explain what I mean. You see, some are closed and some are open, and they all have those wedges on each quarter of the egg. Oh no, we aren't done. We're just running out of time, but we need these to not look like foam mats. This is where expanding foam enters. And take it from me, Wear gloves in this step for sure. I learned this the hard way. This step, we are making additional organic detail on the lips of the egg. And I'm not sure why that sounds so gross. On the edges of the expanding foam after you put it on, use your fingertip to blend it out into the floor mat so that it leaves the high point of expanding foam, and then you have a nice smooth transition. You're also going to take messy handfuls of that expanding foam and blot it everywhere on the smooth floor mats to give it some texture. Now try and keep it random, with more in some places and a little less in others, but try not to leave any gray mat smooth. Now, if this was an open egg, you would want to make sure that you re-texture the ridged interior side of the mat so that it looks more organic, because it has that pattern on the other side of these smooth mats. You'll want to make sure that gets plenty of the expanding foam on it. Now, cover everything and let it dry. Now, depending on how much foam you used, and don't be shy about it, you can also make some tentacles that go all the way to the ground and extend out from the egg. I'll show you what some of those look like later. Oh God, I really don't have a ton of time, but this part you have to be patient with. Oh, and as the foam starts to cure, you start getting some of these, spider webby things as you're patting on the foam, and I think this looks good too. Okay, here is an open egg, and you'll notice I did do the inside of the lips, there's that word again, and the edges with foam. And this egg is about to hatch, so I need an embryo. Enter a dollar store rubber ball. I filled the inside of the egg with scraps of leftover cardboard, pieces of foam, and other things that I had laying around, and I will just set the ball on top and fill the edges with the expanding foam and retexture the ball too, all just using the expanded spray foam. I will also pull and stretch some of the spider webbing across the opening, sticking it to the sticky expanding foam. Now, let everything fully dry. And then it's time to paint. I painted everything first with black. You can see this one I did give the tentacles. And I'm really running out of time. So try and make sure you get everything a full black coating. Next, I used my orange with a zenithal highlight so that the shadows were still black. On the hatching eggs, the embryo got blue and some blue spots seen through the sides. In my story, the hatching eggs become transparent and you see the blue inside as well. The lips and interior got the glassy red, and I dusted the spider webs with red so that those stood out and looked more like some sort of membrane. And when I was done with all of my colors, I went back with the black and I just dusted it to bring all of the colors together and tone the colors down. Except the red. I left that kind of shiny because I thought it looked gross. And there you have it. 5 eggs, and I still have time to get my hands filled with red spray paint and put bloody handprints on the alien autopsy sheets and the curtains. Now, here's kind of what my pattern looks like. I will make it into an SVG and put those in the files section on my Facebook page if you would like to download it. and try and make one of these yourselves. As always, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe and maybe even become a supporter. Details pinned in the comments down below. And if you didn't, as always, just keep it to yourself. Stick around. I've got some glamour shots coming up and a little bit of the test walk of our haunted house before we let people in. Let's see how long my voice lasts tonight.